Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well because today we're talking about music and today we're looking at some recent pickups. I have a lot of really cool, exciting stuff, a lot of variety, so I'm really happy to get into it. Now, a lot of this stuff is from the beginning of June into July even, so there's a lot of variety here. Some of it, pickups from all around different places. So we're going to start with a tape I made a short of. This is Triumph, Edge of Excess. This is actually the last studio album and the first to not feature the original lineup. Some people didn't like this release. They felt it was a little too kind of modern for the time, but it was the band trying to take on sort of that, I don't know, modern sound, kind of lose a bit of that 80s kind of excess hard rock feel and sort of move into a darker area. I like it a lot, especially the track Troublemaker. That's my favorite on here. It's a pretty good album. I do think Triumph is actually a band that doesn't have any bad albums. Some I like more than others, but to me, solid band, no bad albums. So that's the only tape in this pile. But we do have a DVD. Months and months ago, I made a video saying I'm going to start reviewing sort of the live concert DVDs that I do have, and I think I only managed to do one and then forget about it. But I have a big pile back there you can't see of DVDs that I do want to cover. And now this is going to be added to the list. This is Radiohead, the Astoria London Live. This is recorded in '94. Show off the track listing at the back there. Hard to see, but because this is '94, this is pretty much only stuff from Pablo Honey, their debut, and the Bends as well. You do have some cool stuff like Maquiadora, a few other sort of B-sides and unreleased tracks at the time. But for the most part, it's like a best of compilation of what they had on the Bends and what they had on Pablo Honey. So if that's the era of Radiohead you like, or even if you're just a fan of Radiohead as a band, really cool album to check out. Really, really fun DVD as well. Unfortunately, there's kind of no extras in here. I found this while thrifting, but just the way it's laid out doesn't make me feel like there's anything not there. I do think it was just this clamshell. I no longer have, but I used to have their DVD seven television commercials, which was just seven of their music videos. And I do recall it being very similar, pretty bare bones package, but still a cool document to have. All right, next up are two albums. So at the end of this June was the Victoria Ska and Reggae Festival. And I always like to support bands locally when I can in person, buy their merch directly from them. That way they're getting the most out of it. You get to talk to them, some of their experiences, things like that. But I only bought a couple things, grabbed a couple things, had a great experience. And what I did get, there was this 7-inch record from Greg Robinson. Yeah, Greg Robinson. He's the trombone player of a great New York ska, punk, metal, satanic ska band called Mephistopheles. This is just sort of a 7-inch single done by him. You have Bongmaster on the B side and Smarties on the A side. Very similar to their sound, maybe a little more, not laid back, that's weird, a little more rock oriented, I'd say, but lots of fun. The other album I picked up, it was a band that blew me away. I've heard them before, but I've never seen them live. And it's a jazz fusion band, a kind of psychedelic jazz fusion band. And so, as a genre, that's one of those genres that just excels live. This is a band from Winnipeg called the Apollo Suns. They were fantastic. As soon as they started, it's like I gotta buy some from these guys. This is a 2021 EP called A Relationship of Force. You can find it online and you can see the initial track listing up top there. You got 5 tracks, all really good. Why did I grab this one? This also has 5 live tracks, not from one recording session. It doesn't actually say anywhere in the album where the live tracks are pulled from. But if you go on their Bandcamp, you can see a series of other live recordings. So I'm guessing it's sort of compiled from some of these. And again, it's just one of those genres that's fantastic live, especially the keyboard work. I mean, I'm a sucker for great keyboards, but the keyboard player, all the players in the band are amazing, but the keys especially. There was a guitar solo, man, check out Apollo Suns if you're into jazz fusion, psychedelic jazz rock. I mean, just look at that cover. That it says it all up. That cover. Well, the color too. Fantastic. All right, next are all thrifting finds by the looks of it, and all CDs, all found super cheap. Value Village, Salvation Army, all kinds of stuff. Really happy to grab these. So first up, we've got a movie soundtrack. I still want to do one of my movie soundtrack videos sometime of different categories of scores versus compilations and integral to the movie and blah blah blah. Regardless, this is the Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross Social Network soundtrack. As a movie, I think I've only seen the movie once and enjoyed it, but remember really enjoying the soundtrack. And of course, I can't say I'm a massive Nine Inch Nails fan or anything. I've never really listened to an album all the way through, but I definitely respect Trent Reznor. Quake, I've played Quake. There you go. But really enjoyed the soundtrack when I watched the movie, so happy to have a copy of that. Next up, we got some good old CanCon coming up for a little bit. We have Matthew Good's solo album, Arrows of Desire. Some folks say this is kind of one of his lesser solo albums. I would say it's the most sort of 90s alternative. This came out in 2013. The most sort of like 90s alternative rock album of his, which I think some people really liked and some people have felt like it was a sort of stagnation, like repeating what's been done before. I like it. I do think, I think actually, especially a lot of his earlier solo works, the Avalanche, White Light, Rock and Roll, stuff like that. Really good. Hospital Music, Vancouver, all really good solo albums. But I like this one too. I wouldn't skip it. I think all of his solo albums have a lot to love. And this is a good one too. More CanCon. We have a 2009 album, I believe, from the Tragically Hip, We Are the Same. And folks kind of, maybe weren't as into the hip at this time, but this album especially kind of harkens back to their roots. It feels really kind of roots rocky, a lot of blues rock and folk rock influence on it. And there's some really good tunes on this one, especially The Last Recluse. That is probably one of the underrated gems in the catalog. That is such an emotional heavy hitter, The Last Recluse by Tragically Hip. It's a beautiful song. I love it so much. But this album in general, I think, kind of gets overlooked a lot. It's a bit later in their catalog, but I really enjoy it, especially if you were a fan of their earliest albums where they did have a big string of pretty well-known hits. Check this one out. Let's go out of order because we got some more CanCon here, so why not keep that going? We got more Tragically Hip. We got, and you can see I paid $2 for this. It wasn't $4. Another Tragically Hip album, Music at Work, featuring the hit Music at Work. I got the track listing on the back there. This came out 2000. Another good album too. I feel a little less consistent than some of their others. Kind of some great songs, ones that go back down. But the track Music at Work is awesome. Love that track a lot. CanCon, here we go. Rush, Presto. Probably my least favorite of their 90. Was this 89 or 90? Doesn't say. I feel like it was 90. My least favorite of their sort of renewed interest in rock music. This is their first album after coming out of their sort of 80s synth period. I do enjoy it more than Hold Your Fire, maybe. But I just feel like the production on here kind of makes it fall a little bit flat. I like the songs Show Don't Tell. The title track Presto is really good. Red Tide is really good too. But yeah, kind of an inconsistent album, but happy to have this again. I had it a long time ago, but happy to collect it again. CanCon, yeah, that last CanCon album, Big Shiny Tunes #8. This one came out 2003. For those of you who don't know Big Shiny Tunes, so Much Music, which you can see their logo at the top there, was sort of our Canada's MTV. They had a compilation starting in '96 called Big Shiny Tunes that was more so alt rock oriented. Now, the fascinating thing, I'm going to dedicate a whole series actually to Big Shiny Tunes. But the fascinating thing about, I guess, any compilation series, especially if it's geared towards alt rock and alt music, you get to a period starting in the mid 90s where actually that sound alternative becomes mainstream. And so when you're looking at the track listing, like, oh, a lot of these songs got very typical radio play. Another thing I really like about this is because it's Canadian compilation, you have CanCon or Canadian content rules, meaning a certain percentage of this has to be featuring Canadian artists, or there's other definitions in terms of production and all that. So it's always fun to like look at this and be like, you're the CanCon track on this. Like all these bands, even outside of Canada, obviously a lot of these are well known. Linkin Park, Jane's Addiction, Chili Peppers, Queens of the Stone Age. We all know that. And then within Canada, you get pretty well-known stuff. So Sam Roberts, Simple Plan, Fifi Dobson, Nickelback. These are all very well-known. Canadian Nickelback, especially more internationally. So, and then you get the likes of the Salads, who I know because they're a ska punk band who are on Stomp Records. But I'm looking at them, I'm like, there's no way, like they weren't getting any radio play or airplay on much music, presumably. Um, like you even get Gob, who were getting that. Give Up the Grudge, oh, great pop punk song. But I don't know if Gob is one of those bands that made it out of Canada. The Salads, definitely not. Great song. I'd love to have this compilation. And I'm almost done collecting, not all of them. I think I'll go up to 10. And I'm just missing 10 now. Yeah, I've got Big Shiny Tunes 1 through 9, and a couple of the other ones, but I'm missing 10. Still working out. They actually got up to 14, which is kind of cool. All right, 4 more albums. Let's stick on I just talked about ska punk. Let's stick on that. This is the album to get by this band, the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, Let's Face It. We talk about the summer of ska. Here we go in 1997 with their big song, The Impression That I Get. Not even one of the best songs on this album. For my money, I do Noise Brigade, Rascal King, Another Drinking Song, and 128. Those are the ones. In terms of Bosstones albums, this is their big commercial success. It is their most kind of pop rock oriented, but it's a good one. I like it a lot. Found 15, $2, something like that. Nice to have. Here we go. The end. This is being recorded in early July. The end of the month, I'm seeing the Decemberists in Vancouver, one of my favorite bands. How would I describe them? Folk rock, singer-songwriter, melancholy, wistful, romantic era poetry, sad girl, dying of dysentery, summer, autumn. Yeah, that's how I describe them. Just very narrative driven songs. This is their second album, Her Majesty, the Decemberists, and one of my favorites from them. There's back there. They've got so many great songs on here. I'm a big fan of The Soldiering Life. I like that one. The Chimbley Sweep, I really like. It's a track about a chimbley sweep. Like what? I sold you already, right? Check out the Chimbley Sweep. I Was Meant for the Stage. I really like that's a fantastic song. Especially if you're someone involved in the performing arts, just lyrically what that covers, that sort of drive that you have for that. But then fun songs too, like Shanty for the Arethusa about a boat and pirates, stuff like that. Red Right Ankle, good song, good album too. I like that one a lot. It might be the album I recommend if someone's saying, "Hey, I've never heard the Decemberists. What should I check out?" That might be the one I recommend. I think there's others I prefer more. But this is the Her Majesty is the album I think if you check it out and there's nothing you enjoy about it, then there's probably nothing for the Decemberists. Unless you're like hard into prog rock, you could go for their concept album. Well, they have a couple concept albums. The black one, they have a concept album whose name I can't remember at the top of my head. And then they have the Crane Life, which is a concept album with a few other tracks sprinkled around. Next is a twofer, Megadeth, Rest in Peace, and Countdown to Extinction. 2 of their, maybe not best albums, certainly most lauded albums. And the thing I like about this, it's a budget pack. Oh, we can see some books and pens. Awesome. It's a budget pack release, but it actually has a few demos. So for Rest in Peace, you have demos of title track, Polaris, Holy War, and Take My Prisoners, which is cool. And then you get the same thing on Countdown to Extinction. You get demos for Countdown to Extinction, Symphony of Destruction, and Psychotron. That's pretty cool. I like that. Heavy metal, I mean, I'm definitely more familiar with it. I've listened to the entire catalog of, Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and Def Leppard. And I try to listen to a little bit of everything, just so I know, not just find my next favorite thing, but it helps you kind of understand more about the music you do like and why you do like it by trying to branch out to listen to other genres, right? I've been following a lot of YouTubers lately who are really into kind of glam metal, kind of that sort of 80s sleaze rock. So I've been listening to it. And some of it I enjoy that cheese and some I don't. But it's really helpful because it's like, oh, well, why do I like this more? Is it the production? Is it the use of a certain instrument? Is it vocal range? And it kind of helps you appreciate the music you do like more. Because it's like, oh, it turns out I really enjoy, songs about this topic, or I really like, male singers with this kind of vocal range or whatever. So in listening to these albums, I'm giving them a hard listen because I do want to give Megadeth its due. This is kind of the first time I've actually really given a key listen to the band. The vocals take a while to get used to. Musicianship wise, it's amazing. In fact, these aren't the remastered releases. There is a remaster you can listen to on Spotify that is fantastic. Um, but the vocals do take some work. They just don't always work. Maybe that's just, I haven't even gone to Countdown to Extinction yet because I want to make sure, fully formed for Rest in Peace, but sometimes the vocals for Rest in Peace, not quite a sticking point for me. And the final pickup we're going to cover today is probably the last album I need from this band. I am missing one more from their catalog, but this is kind of the one to get as well. So At the Drive-In, Relationship of Command. At the Drive-In, known for kind of breaking up and then reforming, but in the meantime, forming the Mars Volta, who are one of my favorite psychedelic prog rock bands. This is the one to get as well for At the Drive-In. It's post-punk hardcore, like really melodic but sharp vocal work, very angular guitars. It's a lot of fun to listen to. It's not confusing. It's confusing in a way that you understand. And I love that about this band. And now I feel like I've got all the albums from them I need. I'm not certainly a completionist on that front for the band where I'm like, yeah, I kind of really like them. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. I got what I need from them. That's the stack. I'm pretty pumped for all of these, right? I mean, a good variety. Got some DVDs, got some vinyl, got a tape, mostly CDs. That Apollo Suns album, though, check that out. That's such a good album. Love it a lot. It is available on streaming. I've only checked it on Spotify, but it does not have the live stuff included, just the EP, which is cool too. It's a good EP because it's only 5 tracks long, but there's a lot of variety. But check it out. Otherwise, I got some other videos, other plans on the go, other stuff. And if you didn't see my last video where I got to interview Tim Darling about the new Kansas album book, Let It Be Your Guide. I was fortunate enough to be able to write about some Kansas albums. Check that out. I'll have maybe a link to that video down below. Otherwise, I hope you're going to continue to have a good day because I'm going to try and do the same. See you next time. Bye.